they started having an affair. The final year, they started lying. They started cheating. They broke your heart. They betrayed you. They started with the gaslighting. They turned into a totally different person. They turned into a monster. Maybe they were already a monster and they were just doing a good job of putting that front for 3 years just to get you hooked. Maybe in their mind, they said, hey, I'm going to invest this time to hook this person. Because once I have them hooked, there's no turning back. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to Psychopath Exposure. My name is Kita, and we will be talking in depth about toxic relationships even more today. Have you noticed how creative we get when coming up with excuses or reasons to stay in a toxic situation, in a toxic relationship or entanglement, maybe with a narcissist or someone with a personality disorder, where clearly you know that you should be out, but when you really get to that point where you have to make a decision to leave, to walk away, to terminate it abruptly, to preemptively stop seeing them before they stop seeing you. You just can't do it. So you convince yourself and you justify all these BS reasons to stay. It's funny how creative we can get, huh? And you know, I compare that to other areas in life. Like, for example, you have a job that is no longer working for you. You're not getting a raise every year anymore. They've doubled or tripled your duties, your job responsibilities. The environment in there, just the atmosphere, it's terrible. You hate going to work, but you just won't look for another job. You won't leave. Why is that? Why is it that we get so stuck in our ways and we become so stubborn to make a change that ultimately is for the better? Why is it that we stay in bad situations? Why is it that we stay in toxic relationships, long-term toxic relationships? Why is it that we double down the longer we have invested into something, into a person, into a job, into a situation? Why is it that the longer that goes, the more there's time invested, the less we are willing to terminate it and trust the universe that there's something better out there for us? And today I want to give you some insights as to why that is, why we're so creative, the fallacies, the stories and narratives that we tell ourselves that are unfortunately, keep us stuck. And in the long run, when the universe says, hey, you know what? You had your chance to make a change when things were easy. Now I'm going to make it harder for you. Now you got no choice but to change. And that's when it really hurts. And then you have to do it anyway. You kind of have to comply with the laws of the universe at that point, because now it's out of your control. And then you kick yourself in the ass and you're like, man, why didn't I do this before? I wish I would have done this 5 years ago. Why do we wait until things get so out of control and so extremely uncomfortable, and where life forces us to change before we actually make a change? And from my experience, it's just being comfortable in complacency, being comfortable in scarcity, being comfortable in a low frequency paradigm where it's just the way things are. Hey, I've always done it this way. I've had this person in my life for so long, let's not rock the boat. You think it's dysfunctional, but no, it's functional because it's working, because we're still together and we're still married. But no, it's dysfunctional. It really is. If you didn't have a trauma bond, if you didn't have all this chaos around you, if you didn't have all these dependencies on these people, places, or things, you could look at the situation clearly, with complete clarity and transparency. You'd know that it's not good for you. You'd know that it's like, hey, what am I even doing with this? This doesn't work for me. Yeah, clearly, like, I'm gonna move on to something else. Okay? People that are operating at a higher frequency, that they have a higher level of presence, a higher level of confidence. They vibrate with the abundance of the universe. I know that may sound hokey, but just stay with me. How come there's people like that in the world that things happen and they see things as an opportunity? You know, like I always say, hey, you know, you dated a narcissist? Good. Good. Sucks that it happened, but good, because now you become more evolved than people that haven't. People that haven't been through what we've been through have no idea how the world really works. Okay, they may be successful in other areas, but they don't know the level of manipulation, right? The power of manipulation the way that we do, because we actually lived through something like this. And when you come out of it, when you come out of this on the other side, you're able to see things before they happen. You start developing an intuition when you start meeting new people and dating new people. And you can tell almost right away when they're being sincere or when they're putting on a front just to impress you or just to get you to feel like you have some sort of something in common with them. Kind of like what narcissists do when they start mirroring you from the beginning, when they're trying to say the things you think you want to hear in hopes of impressing you, in hopes of making you think that you guys have things in common and that they're at your level. It's kind of like a needy thing to do, and you start seeing right through it. You're like, yeah, they're attractive and all, but there's something wrong. Something just doesn't feel right. Okay, and I compare that to like today's day and age of movies and CGI, computer graphics, and video games. How things look so realistic. We've come a long way in technology, and things look almost lifelike. So lifelike that it's very easy to pick out the little nuances that make you feel uncomfortable. Okay, like if you watch like some of the latest Star Wars movies, where they completely did a CGI rendering of Princess Leia, and it looks pretty damn good, but not quite right. There's just something there where it's like, hey, wow, at a quick glance, it fooled me. For like a split second, it fooled me, but nope, there's something wrong. There's something wrong there. And you see, back in the day, when we didn't have that technology and things looked kind of crappy like in video games, it was cool as the technology improved and the graphics improved, the CGI improved, the special effects improved, and things were starting to look more and more realistic. But your mind would still fill in the blanks, and it was cool and it was impressive. But we've gotten to a point where things are so advanced that if there's anything wrong, it sticks out like a sore thumb. And it makes you feel uncomfortable. That's called the uncanny valley. And you can Google that if you want more information. It's the uncanny valley, and it's just the way the brain is able to recognize that something, even though it looks real, it's not quite right. And what happens after you get out of a narcissistic entanglement, after you've done the work that I talk about in this channel, you're able to notice. Truly notice right away. You can see it in people's eyes. You can see it in the way that they speak, the way they carry themselves, if they're putting on an act or if they're actually present and they're actually being who they are and they're not trying to impress you and they're comfortable in their own skin. They're not trying to put on a front. So you feel safe. That's when you're like, hey, this person's not trying to put it on just to get me in bed with them. This person's not putting it on just to impress me, to suck me in. It's cool. Like, hey, that person's authentic. That's cool. And it's something that we should do ourselves too when we go out there, instead of trying to impress people and trying to put on a facade because we're nervous, we're getting back into the dating scene, right? We think we're not going to meet anyone, so we try a little too hard. No, you got to relax. You guys have been through so much. You guys are warriors. You have such a history. You have war scars now. You're fucking cool. You've been through an amazing experience. You've dealt with a psychopath. You've dealt with toxic, narcissistic energy. You slept with Satan, pretty much. That's an incredible experience to draw from, okay? As you start getting healthier and you look back, it's like, wow, I walked through the depths of hell. I had coffee with Virgil Dante in the fucking 7th layer of the Inferno, of Dante's Inferno, right? I know you guys are going to butcher me for that, but that's okay because I'm authentic. I'm not trying to impress you about my Dante's Inferno knowledge. So this is just a small example of the type of skills that you end up picking up along the way through your journey as you get out of a situation like this. So you have to be totally aware and stop bullshitting yourself. okay? And stop telling yourself all these narratives and all these creative stories that justify your decision to stay in a toxic, abusive relationship. Because it's pretty much BS. It's just a fallacy. It's what, time invested? Okay, so say you've been with someone for 4 years, for example. And let's say that for most of those 4 years, like the first 3 years, things were really good. You have incredible memories. Those are memories that you're always going to cherish. You know, you experience them. You're taking those memories to the grave. Okay? Nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to change that. It happened, right? It happened. But let's say the final year, they started having an affair. The final year, they started lying. They started cheating. They broke your heart. They betrayed you. They started with the gaslighting. They turned into a totally different person. They turned into a monster. Maybe they were already a monster and they were just doing a good job of putting that front for 3 years just to get you hooked. Maybe in their mind, they said, hey, I'm going to invest this time to hook this person. Because once I have them hooked, there's no turning back. A lot of women like to do this. Sorry, ladies, but a lot of women like to do this to men. Get them hooked and trap them, have a kid, and then you're screwed. And it's like, well, now there's a kid. Now you got to pay child support, so you're going to support my kid. And if you get a divorce, I take half of your shit. It's a lot of women that do that, especially in some concentrated areas like Miami, Las Vegas. Okay, you go to these places, it's like Sin City. But hey, honestly, they're all over the world. We tell ourselves these stories because we're so comfortable in our little bubble. And we're afraid to go out there because the brain doesn't know what's out there. The unknown is scary. The unknown is scary. So it'd rather stay in its bubble where it's like, hey, at least I know I'm being abused, and in the morning I wake up and I'm still breathing. I'm being abused. But I wake up in the morning and someone's still paying my bills. I have choices. I have choices. I am responsible. Instead of pointing the finger out there all the time, give yourself a little more credit. You do have the choice. No matter how hard your circumstances are, you do have the choice to make a change. And even if that change hurts at first, if that's what's meant to be, if that's what the universe wants for you, it wouldn't be showing you all these crazy situations where it feels like every day that passes by, things get worse and worse and worse. Haven't you noticed that? Haven't you noticed how in life, when things are not meant for you, no matter which way you go, there's an obstacle? And when things are supposed to be in your life, things just flow naturally, easy, calm. When people are meant to be in your life, they will be in your life. And when they're not, they're going to walk away. And if you think your hook's in them, trying to keep them, now you're keeping them hostage. And if you really want to warp this, you got to realize, hey, sometimes a lot of this toxic behaviors that start coming up later is because this person was not meant to be in your life anyway. And you kept holding on to them and holding on to them because you were afraid of being alone, because you were needy, because you were a codependent. And now they start acting and all these narcissistic traits start coming off. You know, not everyone in this community has been involved with a full-blown psychopath. I was involved with a full-blown psychopath, and I've been involved with toxic people that have narcissistic traits, 2 or 3 or 4 out of 20, for example. But those 2 or 3 or 4, if you're gaslighting me, if you're future faking me, if you're manipulating me, if you're triangulating me, and I'll stop at 4, but I do want to say if you're fucking cheating on me, you're my fucking narcissist. Get the fuck out. But you don't have to wait until they check off all 20 boxes for you to make a decision and realize that this person is bad for you. Okay? You probably saw some of these red flags at the beginning, and you chose to ignore them. So then other things happened. Things started getting a little bad over here, but I was like, hey, I'm not going to look at that. I'm going to focus on these good things, right? I have a good life. I have a partner, right? I have a partner that I can sleep with. I have a partner that lives here. There's someone in my house. Yeah, he's always on his phone. Yeah, he's always getting drunk. Yeah, sometimes he leaves and he doesn't tell me when he comes back. but at least I have someone. Can you imagine not having anyone? See, these are the stories that we tell ourselves, right? And it's like, wait a minute, did you sign up for that? Is that the life you signed up for? For someone that's unavailable? Yeah, there's someone there, but they're unavailable, and they're cheating. Clearly, they're texting other people. Clearly, they're doing unspoken things, unspeakable things when they leave. But yet, you stick around, right? You stick around because of these fallacies that we tell ourselves. That never works. The universe has a way of showing you and revealing to you the truth. And it usually starts very obvious, but we're so caught up in the love bombing, we're so caught up in the shiny new object that we don't see it. Anything that's too good to be true is probably too good to be true. But the universe will show you that card and you'll look away and it says, okay, all right, that's cool. Then it's going to show you another one. Okay, try this one now. And you're like, oh, well, damn, I don't like that. I wasn't expecting that from this person. All right, yeah, whatever, but yeah, sex is still good, right? We're still doing this is that. It's okay. I can handle that. Okay. Universe says, all right, try this one. And you're like, oh, well, hot damn. Well, hot damn. They're talking about someone at work. There's someone at work that they have a cool connection with. What? Why are they telling me that? Do I have to worry about that? Should I worry about that? I mean, they said that's a friend, right? That's a friend, and they're helping that friend through an addiction or something like that. That's interesting how the two toxic people in my life said the very same thing. I'm helping a friend through a cocaine addiction. No coincidence, right? Yeah. And you put up with it. You tell yourself a story. God, or the universe, once again says, okay, try this one now. Now you're getting now you're getting anxiety. Now things are not lining up anymore, right? And the text frequencies are changing, right? You know some shit's wrong. You start seeing like hickeys or bruises on the other person, and you're like, you start questioning things, and you still stick around. So God or the universe says, bam, try this one now. Now you have evidence, right, that there's another person. Now you have the evidence. You guys DM me all the time with the same story. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know there's a new source of supply already. You know they're already having an affair, and you're still in it. And you're still in it, right? And you make up another fucking narrative. Oh, well, they tell me that they still love me, and they tell me that it's, they said it was a phase. It was just a phase, because this or the other, but I can't live without you. You believe it. So then God says, okay, try this one, right? Eventually, things just explode. When something's not meant to be in your life, and you ignore the red flags and you ignore the signs from the universe, things will eventually explode beyond repair. And then, once it's really over, and you're left in the aftermath, and you're dealing with what comes after, and if you've been trauma bonded, and now you know this person's gone, and you got to sit through the trauma bond, you're going to wish you would have ended that situation a long time ago when it was easy. But now things got hard, and because you double down on those narratives and on that fallacy and on those stories and on those justifications, now you're screwed. Now you're screwed because you're never going to get that time back, and now you have trauma that maybe you could have avoided had you just had the boundaries, the confidence, right? The self-worth, the high level of self-worth where you're like, hey, you know what? I love you and all, but this is not really, we're not a good fit for each other because XYZ reasons. Let's not kid ourselves anymore. I know it sucks, but we have to be adults here and just make the right decisions. But who wants to do that, right? Who wants to do that when you're having an amazing romantic experience with these people, right? Who would want to terminate that? But it's a trap. Unfortunately, it's a trap. Have you guys ever heard of the term sunk cost? The sunk cost fallacy is crazy. It's like once you've invested money and you've lost it, like if you're gambling, for example, and you're at the poker table and you've lost all this money, like that money's gone. You convince yourself that you're going to win the money back. So you double down and then you lose it all. And then you go on what they call tilt. And that's when you just lose your mind and you're just like, no way. And you make the worst decisions and you take out more money and you make, oh my God, you make all sorts of deals with the devil just to try and win your money back, and you double and you triple down and you keep losing. You're just spiraling out of control. That's when you go on tilt. I'll make a special video about that. And that's the same thing. You have to realize it's a sunk cost. If you already lost $1,000, you lost $1,000. You're not going to get back the $1,000 that you lost it. If you walk away, you lost it. So it's the same thing as time. The time was already wasted or spent, however you want to look at it, spent or wasted, it doesn't matter. The time already passed. The experience you had with that person already passed. You lived it. You're not going to get that time back by doubling down in that relationship that you're in. You're not going to make up for lost time by trying to fix the toxic relationship. The longer you stay, the worse it gets. And now you have a bigger accumulation of time wasted or spent, again, however you want to look at it. Now I can see the point of view where, hey, at the end of that entanglement, and that person turned out to be a monster, you can be like, wow, I wasted all these years of my life. Or you could spin it in a positive way. It's like, hey, I learned something. This was part of my journey. If your life gets incredibly better, which it does when you get out of this shit. So when you arrive at that better situation, you got to realize I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for all of that. That's the path that led me here. I had to go through that to arrive here. So, you got to take things for what they are. And sometimes you got to cut your losses and just let them go. But telling yourselves these fallacies and these stories and these narratives and these excuses and justifications to stay in a toxic relationship that clearly, by all means, is not meant for you, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're doing yourself a disservice. You're volunteering for more abuse and more torture. A lot of times, guys, when you start coming out of this, you're like, I didn't even want this person. You know how many people I've coached that have told me, I didn't even want this person. I wasn't even attracted to this person. Like, they weren't even my type. And somehow, at some point, I became crazy in love, crazy obsessed with them. How did that happen, Kira? And it happens to a lot of us. It happens to a lot of us. We sometimes idealize the toxic person. We idealize the narcissist the same way that they idealize us. When they're gone, when they're ghosting, when you think it's over, when they've severed the relationship, you sit there and you idealize, man, if they came back, it would be so much better. If they were here right now, we can talk it out. We have this shared trauma. We can work it out, right? We idealize that. We tell ourselves these stories. And then they hoover and we let them back in. And the moment they come back in, you're like, what the hell? Like, you feel the energy, like they're next to you. And you're like, you're not how I remembered you in my head. You're not how I idealized you in my head. Like, I'm seeing you for what you are again. And you're a liar, you're a user, you're a manipulator, you're a cheater, you're a traitor. You can't be trusted. Why the hell are you even in my house? You see, we do the same thing that these monsters do sometimes. We idealize, we fantasize about who we wish they really were, but that's not who they are. You got to really see them for what they are. And from the beginning, a lot of times those situations, I'll say it again, a lot of times those situations were not a good fit. Your lifestyles were completely different. Life circumstances did not mesh. Maybe they have kids and you didn't want their kids in your life. As cruel as that may sound, it's not. Maybe they have a career that doesn't line up with like yours. Maybe their work schedule, just what they do. They work weekends and you want to be with your person on weekends. That's not going to work. Okay? Maybe they travel for business all the time and you're like, no, I want my partner to live with me in my city or close to, within 20 minutes so we can see each other. Maybe you meet someone at some club, which you shouldn't, but maybe you meet someone one night and then you realize, oh wow, like you live an hour away from me. Let's try and make this work. I remember coaching this wonderful lady, and she had met someone like 4 hours away, and I was like, hey, like I know right now you're on cloud 9, but this is not gonna work. You do know that you're 4 hours away. One of you guys is gonna have to make a decision to move. And it sounds like you're kind of like leaning towards being the one that's gonna abandon everything and move. Like that's crazy. That's a 4-hour difference. You guys don't even know each other. Wouldn't you want to meet someone that already lives in your city where it's easy? Why do you want to complicate yourself? 4 hours, a 4-hour buffer. You know how easy it is to cheat when you're 4 hours away? Especially in today's society, it's like, hey, why not, right? So you have to really be honest with yourself. And you got to trust your gut. Not everybody that you meet is a good fit. People rush into relationships now. I don't know why people rush into relationships and marriage and they rush to pop kids. It's like they just want to have kids. Gotta have kids by 30, gotta have kids by 30, gotta be married, gotta have the house. So they meet someone and in a few months they're married. I know someone personally, I won't tell you who they are, but they just desperately wanted kids, It was toxic relationship after toxic relationship after toxic relationship, was married, divorced, nothing would work out. It was just so bad. And within 9 months, met someone else, married, she's already pregnant. And it's like, oh, brother, It's like, really? Like that's disaster all over the place. You don't even know the woman for a year. And you already knocked her up. Oh my God, for all I know, he's the toxic one, right? Wake up! Wake up, this is real. This is happening all around you. You see it, it's happening everywhere. You guys gotta slow down. Slow down, learn to be by yourself. Learn to be happy by yourself, all right? Learn to be present to the moment and build a cool life. Build a cool life for yourself where people wanna come and hang out with you, where people genuinely wanna be around you. And you know that if they leave, who cares? Because you still have a cool life, so you're not going to placate to these people. If a toxic person shows up and they're only there because they want your money or your status or whatever adventures you go on, you'll be able to weed them out. You'll be like, I know you're only here for this, and if this wasn't here, you'd be gone. So you won't invest in them. You'll keep them at bay, okay? You need to be confident knowing that you have a stable life where you're not dependent on anyone else. Otherwise, the minute you meet someone, you're going to become super needy, okay, super complacent, and you're going to let them walk all over the boundaries that you've been trying to work so hard to establish now. So instead of running into something new, running right into the dating pool, getting back on those toxic dating apps, which I wish would just burn to the ground, why don't you actually work on yourself? Work on yourself. The things that you really want to do, your health goals, your financial goals, your career goals, your hobbies. If you want to travel, if you want to build something, if you want to develop your social skills, if you want to develop your athletic skills, whatever it is you guys want to do. If you want to learn how to read again, I'm not saying you don't know how to read, but I'm saying like read a book where you can read the page and you retain the information rather than ruminating about your toxic narcissist ex and you forget what the hell you just read. That's a skill. That's a skill. Getting back into that level of focus that you had before you were in this entanglement, that takes work. That takes work. You know what? I just realized the camera wasn't recording. What can I do? I guess I wasn't present to the moment and I didn't see the little red dot. But see, I got to be more present, okay? But yeah, guys, just be good to yourselves. Cut yourself some slack. You've been through so much. And just recognize when you're telling yourself all these bullshit narratives that are keeping you stuck in a situation that's not meant for you anymore. It's okay to let it go. It's okay to let it go because your future self will thank you for it. That's a guarantee. Nothing gets worse. There's nothing out there that's worse than being in a toxic relationship with a narcissist, with a psychopath. You're someone with this personality disorder that's just destroying your insides, destroying your psyche. Your mental health is out of control. Your nervous system is all out of whack. Just being alone and not having that in your life, it's already a win. You're going to have to deal with the loneliness, but believe it or not, that's easier to cope with than psychological abuse and trauma and PTSD. Because you can be alone and not lonely. And eventually you get there where you appreciate being by yourself and where you appreciate knowing you have a full open canvas to go out there and starting a new life. So let's work on letting go of these narratives, letting go of these fallacies, and just sticking to the truth and just knowing when your gut and your soul is screaming at you, learn to trust your inner voice. It's there for a reason. It's there for a reason. And I can help you develop that inner trust. I can help you develop that confidence to listen to that voice and to tell yourself, hey, you know what? I'd rather be wrong. I'd rather trust my intuition and be wrong than ignore that gut feeling and go out there and get burned. I can help you make that shift. I can help you switch paradigms. I can help you raise your frequency where you start doubling down and tripling down on yourself, on your inner voice that's telling you, that's guiding you into safety, that's guiding you away from real danger, not perceived, imaginative, fear-based, made-up, fear of the unknown danger. No, we're talking about real danger in the present, like living with a psychopath that's domestically abusing you, psychologically abusing you, just making you completely unhappy, turning into a shell, into a vegetable. That's real danger. Because life is short, and like I said, you're never going to get your time back. You're never going to get that time back. That time is already gone. It is a sunk cost. There is no need to stay in a situation further than that. If it's already expired, it's kind of like, you go to a football game, you go to the Super Bowl, and the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady made that fourth quarter comeback. Everyone's celebrating, everyone's partying, everyone left. The arena's empty. After parties, Brady's already sleeping in his chamber, in his oxygen tank. And you're still in the Super Bowl stadium. I don't know how they didn't kick you out, but you're the only one. You're looking around like everyone's gone home, everyone's gone. Sun's coming up. You're still there. You're still there. And that's what happens with a lot of victims of narcissistic abuse. Like, your relationship has expired. There's no coming back. There's no coming back from betrayal. There's no coming back from cheating. There's no coming back. The minute a man or a woman raises their hand to their partner, there's no coming back. That's the end. That is the end. And you're there. You're the only one looking around like, hey, where did everybody go? Where did my life go? All you got to do is walk out the stadium. Walk out just like everybody else did. Really. Logically, this makes sense. The problem is that your emotions are compromised. There's a trauma bond in there. If you haven't seen my trauma bond manifesto video, I will link it below in the description so you can understand why it sucks you in and keeps you there. Start taking action, guys. If you need help, reach out to me. Reach out to me. I offer private one-on-one coaching. I can help you reframe your experience so that you can get motivated again to do the work, to get excited about doing the work that's going to bring you more healing, more abundance. It's about getting excited again, because after you've been with a narcissist for so long, nothing feels exciting anymore. Nothing. So the idea of having to do work, the idea of having to read, self-development books, the idea of having to get back out there and go jogging, going to the gym, cleaning up your diet, meeting new people, just the idea of that is like, oh, no, I'd rather stay in bed and under the sheets. Bed is death. I tell people all the time, bed is death. As soon as your alarm clock goes off in the morning, get up, get out of bed. Do not stay there because you will ruminate yourself into a spiral that you can't escape. And I can help you reframe all those things. I've been doing this for a long time already. Do not hesitate to reach out. The same way I had to reach out. I still talk to my mentor all the time. It's important to have someone that's at a higher frequency than you, that can see things clearly without that emotional investment, that can guide you. They have your corner like in the boxing ring, right? It's like, oh, you're deviating from your path. Get back in there. Let's go. Get back in there. No, focus. Because your friends are not going to do that. Your friends don't understand. Your friends are just going to take you out to the bar. Let's go get drunk. Or they're going to tell you some stupid shit like, oh, just break up with them. Just fuck someone else. No, dumbass. Doesn't work that way. Your friends don't realize when your thinking is compromised. I can help bring those thoughts back in alignment with you. So reach out. I have a link below in the description. Just go to psychopathexposure.com/coaching or send me an email at info@psychopathexposure.com, and we can talk more about private coaching. I would love to work with you and help you rise out of this nightmare. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I know it was a long one. Sorry for the technical issues, but hey, that's life. Okay, and what's important is getting this information out there. Love you guys. Drop a like, comment on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click that bell icon so you can get notified when a new video comes up. And also share this video with other people so that we can continue growing and getting the information out there. This is a community, anti-narcissist community. We're all in this together. We're all warriors. We got to stay strong, strength in numbers, guys. All right? I got your backs. You guys got mine. Let's make it a great day. Take care.